Welcome back to the Whatnauts review show. A quick note right off the top of the bat. If you are watching the YouTube version of this, you guys cannot see our faces for this one, unfortunately. We normally record video, but I just moved to Oklahoma, out in the Midwest Central Time Zone. So I don't have access to my main computer. It's on its way. That should be here early April. But yeah, for now, if podcasts go up on the Whatnauts for the next week or two, you might see them in audio-only format. But that being said, this is number 199 of the Whatnauts review show, where each week we have a different story to talk about. Could be a comic book, could be a movie, TV show, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we come back here and talk about it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson, who's also in the Central Time Zone.
Yes! Finally, we are united in time zone. It's 8 o'clock for both of us right now.
Yeah, you used to be the odd one out. Where It was only you in a different time zone, and now it's both of us. So we're growing in numbers. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so this one is also one of our end of the month specials, so we're doing something a little bit different than what we normally do here on the podcast. This time we're doing a bit of a sitcom exchange. Melissa, we did this once before, but can you run people down on what this is exactly?
Yeah, summer 2020, we did one of these as a palate cleanser between two other ongoing monthly series we were covering, both of which were kind of heavy. So we're like, let's just do a fun one-off one. And I didn't know much about Seinfeld. You gave me 3 episodes of Seinfeld to watch, and you didn't know much about The Simpsons, so I gave you 3 episodes of The Simpsons to watch. And we just talked about these sitcoms that one of us grew up with and the other person did not.
You're right. Yeah. And I thought it worked out perfectly. We were just like, you know what? Here's 3 of them just to chew on, just to get a small taste. And it was good. It was fun. So you might see some more of these sprinkled down the road in between things where we just need them to fit, or we need to extend something by a month. We'll just be like, you know what? Let's just watch some sitcoms. Why not? Why not? So yeah, I for this one, I brought Community. That's what I had you watch, Melissa. I had you watch 3 episodes of Community, and you had me watch 3 episodes of Arrested Development.
Yeah, you had picked Community first, and I decided I ought to do Arrested Development because it's one of my faves, but also these feel like good companion shows to each other. They're both Russo brother directed shows. We've got that in common.
Yeah, it was good. I was debating on if I wanted to do Community or Futurama, since that was in the news recently, or something else, or who knows what. But I had to go with Community because it's one of my all-time favorites. And one I think you said you only had seen like clips of, just like small bits and pieces.
I had seen the chicken strips episode, and I think I've seen 2 or 3 other episodes, but it's not a show I know well.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, it's one that I quote all the time. I've only actually seen it in full once, but I've seen those first couple of seasons multiple times, and I have season 1 on Blu-ray or on JVD or something, and it is fantastic. It is absolutely one of my favorites. And yeah, it's so wild to think about the Russo brothers working on a show like that, and then gone to be like the people behind the majority of like the MCU Avengers movies and Captain America Winter Soldier and all that stuff. It was just like, what is this? This is like two totally different things. How are they so different but so good still? So
Comedy and action, they're both all about the timing.
they really are. They are indeed. That's a good point. Okay, let me pull up my notes here. I tried to get them up beforehand. Here we go.
While you do that, I do want to say we will cover Futurama at some point. It's a show I love.
Absolutely.
I've seen all of it. I own all of it. They did a series of direct-to-DVD movies between their Fox run and their Comedy Central run. I don't have all of those, but I've seen everything. Futurama's day will come.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one that has been on my list of shows to watch in its entirety for a long, long time. I've really only seen episodes here and there randomly, but it is one that I know is stellar. So I'm excited for whenever we get to watch that. But for Community, here's what I had you watch. Melissa, you watched season 1, episode 1, the pilot. Then you also watched season 1, number 21, Contemporary American Poultry. This is one you had seen before. And then last but not least, I had you watch season 3, episode 4, Remedial Chaos Theory. And if this was one you hadn't seen, but you knew about. You've seen the gif of Troy of
Yes.
just walking in with the pizza and everything's on fire, and stuff like that. It's one that everyone has at least seen that picture. So I picked these 3. I think this isn't necessarily a show that you can kind of jump around in per se. But I think especially if you've seen the pilot, you kind of can. Like there's certain ones you can like. I feel like the 3 that I picked out for you didn't really need to know much except for the pilot. But just like, here you go, here's the setup, and then there was this one time that blank, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought there were a good highlights of the show. All of that stuff, but I didn't really have any other kind of rhyme or reason behind picking these 3 besides I just think these ones are good. I think these ones are good.
They were good. For Arrested Development, I assigned you also the pilot, which is necessary to set up the complicated web that is Arrested Development. Season 1, episode 15, Staph Infection, and season 2, episode 4, Good Grief, which were all episodes I remembered well. Staph Infection, I remember being my favorite episode at the time I was watching this.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I had never really seen Arrested Development. The one thing I knew is that when Netflix was first getting big and they had Arrested Development on there was some like hidden secret thing that if you typed it into the search bar or something, I think it was the word blue or something like that. And you type it in and then you start to see like a blue hand print on the screen and then more and more like blue paint stuff, and then it takes you to some episode of Arrested Development where one of them is like in blue paint or something. I have no idea what it is, but that I remember that vividly.
We missed that. That's not in any of the episodes I assigned you today.
Right, yeah.
Arrested Development aired on Fox, started in 2003. This show was a very important place in my heart because it was the first adult show that I watched on my own. Like, not something I watched because my dad was watching it. This was my show and my show only.
There you go.
My first non-kids show I ever followed on my own. It meant a lot to me. It ran for 3 seasons. It was canceled. It was a real crime. And then it was resurrected for additional episodes on Netflix in 2013.
Cool.
It was such an odd bookend to my young adulthood. The day I came back from my college graduation trip, I went to a release party, like a watch party at my friend's house to watch all of season 4 of Arrested Development.
That's awesome. Yeah. I vaguely remember that happening. Like, that was a big thing that, like, Netflix saved it.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little bit congested from this cold that I have here. But I know that Community has also had a troubled history. It is the little TV show that could. Hashtag seasons in a movie. We're still waiting on that movie, though. But yeah, it got all the way up through like 5 or 6 seasons. And it got canceled, and then it got moved over to like Yahoo, and then it got canceled, and then it got moved over somewhere else or something. And it was just kind of wild to see this show that was so good and so smartly written just go through all of this trouble. It sucked, but the show had its issues too, with Chevy Chase being involved in the cast, and of course Troy being played by Childish Gambino, who was also working on Atlanta and his own rap albums and this and that. He did everything.
Right. The fact that you call him Childish Gambino before you call him Donald Glover indicates like how prolific his career is in so many different avenues.
Yeah. So it was a mix of just like everyone kind of mixing and not mixing well and all that stuff. But here's what I want to know. Melissa, now that you have seen these 3 episodes of Community, what did you think?
I did enjoy the show a lot. It's very intelligent and it's got a good heart to it. There's some very sincere, refreshing messages in it. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that pilot especially is just kind of it's surprising at the end, I feel like, because it does start out about a guy trying to get into this one girl's pants at the community college, right? But by the end of it, like, he does have this really weird roundabout speech about being a community. And it is like, that is kind of nice. Like, I like this. This is heartwarming. And then just all of the adventures that they go on together as a group is amazing. It's so much fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. How did you find Arrested Development?
Oh man, this was a time capsule. I've never seen Michael Cera not look like the Michael Cera that I have in my head.
Right.
I know that this show was popular back when it was on, so like a lot of people know Michael Cera as this character, or can at least remember him, right? I don't have that touchstone. Like the Michael Cera I know is the one that's like around today. Like, he's kind of solidified his look as he's come into adulthood, right? That's a weird way to put that. He's solidified his look.
Right, but yeah, this Michael Cera looks different than Scott Pilgrim does, even though it doesn't. Right. It's like his face is a completely different shape.
It really is. Oh my god.
Little rough draft of himself.
This is an interesting one because it's a time capsule in that sense. It really, really reminds me of the I mean that time period when these kinds of shows were starting to become popular, where it is like some camera crew like following around these characters, being there. I don't think this really got into the like faux interview style thing,
No,
but it still
it's
is that like intimate
not exactly
show,
that.
right? Yeah.
Yes. It's shot a lot like that, but it isn't that mockumentary style like The
Right.
Office or Modern Family or something. There's no talking heads, there's no interviews. Yeah, it just has a very handheld camera look
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. And so yeah, it reminded me of like the early kind of unpolished look of those shows, which was interesting to see, because now I think the Office kind of started it and then perfected it, and Modern Family polished it, and this and that, and that we now see it in like WandaVision and stuff that they did,
Yeah.
right? And it has a look and a certain style, and this was rougher than that, which I kind of like. 'Cause I don't necessarily like those interview things. I just think they're really phony. But this was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It also reminded me a lot of Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you've seen that show, but it has a similar thing where like the family runs out of money, and then they have to go
Yes.
live in this town and figure out how to
Yeah,
survive with no money, and live like normal people.
There's- I know the premise of Schitt's Creek. I saw like the first couple episodes when it first came out, but it was on like an obscure channel and I never followed it. I know it is right up my alley.
Yeah.
I love those actors.
Yeah.
I've just been meaning to circle back around to it and fully devote my time to it because I'm sure I will be rewarded.
Yeah, it's a real similar premise. I'm watching it right now with my girlfriend, and we're in season 3. And it's a lot of fun. Just all of the stupid stuff that happens in that one. But yeah, it's the thing here as in Arrested Development, right? It's this oddball family who only knows how to live lavishly and expensively, and just they don't even think about money. And then something happens and their dad gets arrested and they can't use the money and all of this. And it's just like they have to figure out how to be normal, and they just don't understand it, which is really funny.
Yeah. There's one of these adult children who does have his act together, who has been the reliable one who's actually working at this job and not just collecting a paycheck for doing nothing. And so while his father's in prison, he's trying to hold everything together and keep the business and the family afloat.
Well, let's walk through each of these that we got here.
Yeah.
So let's start with the pilot of Community. So yeah, this one kind of starts off immediately, I think, with one of the best jokes in the series, in my opinion, where the dean of the college is sitting there and he's making some presentation on the first school. And he's like, well, you might have heard that community college is for losers, for single parents, for old people, right? And he has this whole speech on his cards. And so he flips to the next card and goes, well, that's what you may have heard. However, I wish you luck. And that's it.
Kyle, I have to stop you and ask, who's that cat?
That was Simba. My girlfriend has 2 cats.
Oh my
Simba
God.
and Onyx.
Oh my, this is news. You never mentioned that there would just be cats walking around in the background of this now.
Yeah. For now, I'm in my living room, just kind of on the floor, top, and stuff like that. But I will have my own, like, podcast studio room eventually once I get my stuff. But for now, I'm just hanging out, so you might see some cats. Or I guess you guys won't see the cats since this is an audio-only podcast. But Melissa can attest there was a cat here, so.
It was an incredible surprise.
Indeed. But yeah, community college. That's what you heard. However, I wish you luck. What were you thinking of this pilot? Now that you've seen this one, was this an effective one?
Yeah, definitely. I liked how it set up the characters. We've got Joel McHale. What's his name?
Joel McHale's character. God, why am I blanking on this? Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff. Okay. Forgettable name, Jeff. So Jeff, he was a lawyer. They found out he doesn't have a real college degree. He's talking to this professor there at the community college who he is his lawyer. He's gotten this guy out of parking tickets or whatever. And he's like, I thought you got your degree from Columbia. And he's like, yeah, now I have to get one from America.
Yeah.
So he has to go back to community college to get like a real degree so that he can be rebarred and be a lawyer again. And we've got him, and then when the dean is giving this speech about, I bet you thought the community college was only for old people, and then we see
Chevy
Pierce,
Chase, yeah.
or for divorced moms, and then we see Shirley, and we see Troy and Abed and Britta and everybody. We get almost everyone immediately, and then it's like 10 minutes later that we get Annie. And I know who the cast of the show was. And I'm like, what? There's another one. Where is she?
Yeah, she ends up showing up a little bit later because her story kind of, her backstory kind of intertwines with Troy. So you kind of have to introduce him first, that he was this high school football star, was about to make it big. The night before the last game, he's at some party and does a keg flip where he's standing upside down on these kegs and all all that stuff, and hurts himself. She was kind of the forgettable, smart valedictorian girl in the school who was also addicted to Adderall and had a huge crush on Troy.
Yeah.
And so she was like, for like the whole high school career that they had, she was a no one. Like, she just like, and similarly, she just kind of shows up, and you're just like, oh, who are you? Yeah.
You're right.
But it's a good cast for sure.
They're all such clear characters immediately. You spend 30 seconds with them and you get all of them. I think that is one of the benefits of the show, where even if I have only seen 2 or 3 episodes, I know all these people. I know what their deals are.
Yep.
I know what the jokes of them are.
Yep, that's the nerd, that's the jock, that's the old person, that's the single mom, that's the valedictorian who did right. So, yeah, I think the pilot is so. Melissa, you and I started a pilots club for our Patreon supporters. That once a month, as part of our Patreon exclusive podcast, you and I would watch the pilot of some kind of show. It could be a new show, an old show, an animated show, all sorts of stuff. And we've kind of been going through just talking about these pilots. Do we think they're effective? How does this work? Was this too long? Was this too much? And to be honest, I think this is one of my favorite pilots of all time because of kind of what you just mentioned. It's so clear and concise about just what it is, right? Okay, they're at a community college. Here's the old guy. Here's the single mom. Here's the nerd. Here's the jock. Here's your main character. And that's it. And that's like, and it is this idea of like, well, we're gonna be a study group, so we're gonna be studying together all year and having adventures and conflict and this and that. And yeah, like I said, he just has this nice speech at the end of like, but that's what makes a community. Like, I might not want to hang out with the old person or with this guy or that, but like, we've come together and we're also different, and that's what connects us, is that we have all these different walks of life here. And as Shirley tends to do, she goes, "Oh, that's nice," and like that's like exactly your response in that moment. I feel like that's just like, oh, this is nice, this is heartwarming, I like this.
Yeah.
So,
the show makes a point to establish how all these characters fit together and what their strengths are and how they complement each other. In the pilot, Jeff tries to flake out of the study group. He set it up only as a way to go on a date with Britta. And then Britta invited all these other people, like, calling his bluff. Like, what? I thought you said this was a study group. We all need help studying for that Spanish test tomorrow. And then he feels stuck with all of these people. And the pilot does do a good job of establishing Jeff as cunning, kind of dastardly, but he does
actually
know
smart.
what he's doing. Yes. Yeah. And he does see the value in people, even if he is a little cynical about it. Britta doesn't want to go out with him. She wants to actually have the study group. She's like, no, I need help with the test. And like, I know you just did this as a ploy to like go on a date with me. I'm not going on a date with you. And to kind of win her over and help mend things and patch this up, he does go to the study group and gives them this rousing speech. Yeah. And I had to write down this line where he says, "You are all better than you think you are. You are just designed not to believe it when you hear it for yourself." So he has everybody go around, like, tell the person next to you something great about them. I know you've just met them, but like, Pierce, you can see something in Troy. Like, you can see something in each other. That's how human beings function. We don't always trust ourselves, but there is a trust that we have for other people, and we need to use that right now.
Yep. Exactly. Let's move on to the second one here. The chicken finger one that I like a lot. This is one of my favorites because, especially early on in the show, they tried to do a lot of different genres. Just in the style, like, oh, we'll do a romantic comedy, we'll do a crime noir, we'll do this, we'll do that. And so this one ends up being more like a mafia movie, where the gang really likes tenders, that the cafeteria is like the whole school knows that the chicken tenders are the thing to get. Like, it's the best food in the whole place. And whoever controls the chicken fingers controls the school. And so they come up with this ploy to like slowly take over the chicken finger production, and they use this to like set themselves up on top and run the school and do all of this stuff, and they watch it all come crashing down, and stuff like that at the end. But this is one of the reasons why I love this show, is because not only do they try these other genres and stuff, but they're good at it and they're effective, and it's still fun. Like, it's not so serious or like, ooh, this is a mafia film. Like it's stupid fun. it's so good.
It's chicken strips.
Chicken run.
And they do a lot with the characters in this setting. You said it's you watch this thing fall apart. You kind of watch Abed purposefully dismantle it, because he's like, this will be bad. Like, the power will go to our heads. This will change us. We will be different people. I need to stop this. Like, I am going to break the fryer. Nobody has chicken strips anymore. The syndicate will no longer exist because I know it is inherently bad for us.
And it's just it's one that I just have such fond memories of. Like, the cat is attacking me now. What are you doing, Simba? Hi, hello. But yeah, I think it's another one that also really displays like the tight bond that Olive has in that show. And I think it's one that also displays some of the more popular side characters and stuff like this. Like, you see Starburns. I think you see oh god, what's the other old guy's name?
Yeah.
The one with the backpack. Fuck! I'm blanking on his name. And I don't know why. Oh well, you guys are
I don't know. I don't remember a
his name
backpack
at
guy.
me right now.
We see the dean briefly. I've never gotten to see a lot of the dean. I would like to get to know him better. I don't think in any of the clips I've ever caught from the show I've really gotten to know Ken Jeong, who's their Spanish
Jeong, yeah.
professor.
At first, yes. This show goes places, is one of the things I will say. Like, it goes to directions that if I mentioned, you would just be like, what the hell? Like, what is this show? They have animated holiday specials that are in the claymation from the old school Rudolph movies and stuff like that. John Goodman plays a character in this show, and he's like the head of the air conditioning repair school within the community college. They have a whole storyline about Troy basically being the chosen one of this air conditioning repair school. Like, he is the Potter, kind of.
I have seen that clip where John Goodman takes him to, this is the room. This is the room temperature room. This is what we derive room temperature from.
Ken Jeong starts out as their Spanish teacher, then fakes his death, and then eventually becomes one of the security guards on campus. Is also I think he ends up running the school at one point. And then he gets amnesia and forgets who he is, and he becomes a student, and there's so much stuff that happens with all of these characters. This person moves in with that person, these two start a relationship, and then they break up, and then these two start one, and then it's all over the place. You see LeVar Burton. He ends up being on the show. Yeah. Who else is on the show? So Jeff's boss, the main partner at the firm he used to work at, is played by Drew Carey. He's in the
nice.
There's so many people in this show. We didn't mention his name, but John Oliver is in that show. It's just, there's so many things that happen in this. It's a great cast of side characters and stuff like that. It's good.
I want to mention my two favorite things about the chicken strip episode.
Yes.
I like that they decide that as a club that as the chicken strip mafia, they should get cool jackets. And instead of going with denim jackets or a satin jacket, a members only, they get prep school blazers that have a crest on them, and the crest is a chicken strip.
Yep. I love it. It's great.
When Abed is given everybody a different task to do within the transfer of the chicken strips. Shirley's good at this. Annie's good at this.
Right.
He's explaining this to Jeff, and he says, everyone has needs. everyone has functions. And that feels like it's the thesis of the entire show.
Yeah.
That echoes back that line in the first episode. You're better than you think you are. You just need to hear it from somebody else besides yourself.
Good stuff. It does have a lot of heart at the end of the day. There's a lot of conflict and they say stupid stuff, but at the end of the day, yeah, they really do become this like tight-knit family that just wants to stick up for one another and stuff like that. So good stuff. And then last but not least, the flaming everything went wrong
Remedial Chaos Theory.
Remedial Chaos
So
Theory.
I thought I had seen this one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. I've seen another episode where Troy is panicked about something. Like there's some episode
is there one where he's like curled up and shaking?
Right, where he's like.
That's the one
I
where
know
he
the
meets
gif of,
LeVar
there's like
Burton.
a dead body.
Oh,
there's like a dead body on the ground or something.
We've all been
like him and Annie are panicking.
chloroformed.
Right, that's the one I've seen where he's like, I feel like my whole brain is crying. What's that one? I don't remember it. I just remember that part.
I think it's is it one of the Halloween ones? I don't remember if it's one of the Halloween ones or if it has something to do with...
I feel like I have seen a Halloween one.
They have some good ones for Halloween. But it might also be... I think they were trying to sneak in... It was at, like, Jeff's old boss's work party, and I think they're trying to find out something about Jeff or, like, why he got fired or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they sneak into this office... And the janitor walks in, and Annie happens to have like a bottle of chloroform and a rag, and chloroforms the janitor, and that's when Troy is just like, "What? You chloroformed the janitor? What are you doing? What's happening?" And he just freaks out. And then the janitor wakes up, and they're just like, "Oh God, he's waking up! What do we do?" And they chloroform him again. But then they still don't know what to do, so they just need to like figure out what to do. So they all fake like they've been chloroformed too, and then when he starts to wake up, they all wake up, and they're just like, oh my God, what happened? Oh, we've all been chloroformed. What? This is weird. Who could have done that? And he's just like, It was you guys. I saw you. Like, you did it to me. Like, he's just like, this is not a thing. Like, so yeah, they do all sorts of dumb stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so this one is interesting because there is, they do have a couple like D&D style things on the show. Dan Harmon, one of the creators, also has a show called Harmon Quest, which I think is more D&D related. And so yeah, here they are one night at Troy and Abed's apartment, and they're having a game night, and the pizza's been delivered, but it's downstairs, and one of them needs to go pick it up, and so they decide to roll dice to figure out who should go get the pizza. And that's when Abed is like, wait a minute. You know that by doing this, you're creating parallel universes where each one of us goes and gets a thing. So yeah, the whole thing is just exploring like what happens if Jeff goes to get the pizza? What happens if Pierce goes to get the pizza? What if it's Shirley? What if it's Annie? What if it's Britta? What if it's Troy? And yeah, it's just them doing this scene over and over, and it just gets worse and worse as things go on to the end of the gif that you all have seen. I know you have, of Troy walking in with the pizza and just stopping and is shocked because something's on fire and Pierce is like hitting it. People are screaming and someone's dead and this and that. It's
It's a beautiful Rube Goldberg.
It really is.
It's Troy and Abed. They've just moved in together. This is their housewarming party. Abed has an entire Indiana Jones diorama with a real like moving boulder that will roll around.
Yep.
And I like that during that scene where it's what if Troy went to get the pizza and like everything descends into chaos. Like his little indie action figure has been knocked over in all this chaos, and it's like Pierce gets shot in hand. He's like, Abed, do something, call 911. And he takes 1 second to straighten his indie figure, and then he goes into action.
Yeah.
I like that detail. I really got to applaud Danny Pudi's performance.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's got so much dialogue. He says so quickly, and it's a bit more monotone, but I love what he does with his physical maneuvers to kind of offset that, where he keeps like turning and angling his head. His head is just a delight to watch.
Absolutely. They have
best neck acting I've seen.
They have one episode where they are just they all just comment on like Abed is so weird. Like he's just strange. He's trying because Abed has trouble like connecting with people in social interactions, and they try and do like jokes with him, and he just doesn't really get them, and so they have to explain what a joke is and what a prank is and all of this stuff, like what sarcasm is. And there's one where he pulls a prank on Troy, where he starts to like write in this in this alien language, and like starts like making these weird noises, and it's like and just does stuff. And Troy at first is just like, ha, like you're not good at this. Your face is not good. And he's like, I get this is a joke, but he keeps going with it to the point where Troy like actually starts being like, I don't know, man. This is like real weird. The stuff that you're doing here, like this is weird. And yeah, eventually they stop, and he but still, he just goes to such lengths that it's just like, wow. Like you created, like you filmed yourself doing this thing so you could put it on a TV and talk to yourself in this thing. It was just, yeah. But Troy and Abed are my favorite of the show, but Danny Pudi is phenomenal in this whole show. He's so
strong
good. Yeah.
performances.
Absolutely. So, like, let me ask you this as a like wrap up question: How satisfying was watching that third one, though? Because like I've shown it to a couple other people, and that is expressed to me like once they saw that of just like I've seen image everywhere, and now now I feel like I understand it. Like I just like there's this like curiosity satisfied flying. Is that what it felt like for you watching this show?
Yeah. It's nice to see it in context, and I feel like these characters are so easy to get. If you've seen the pilot, or if you've just seen gifs of them, if you've just seen bits of them around, I feel like you can get enough of them that this episode plays for you, even if it is like the first full episode you've seen.
Yeah, it's my but yeah, there's just things about this show. The school statue is of Luis Guzman. They make Pierce write the school song. They redo the mascot to be the human beans. And it's a guy in an all like one
I've
like
seen
green
that.
screen suit, but it's all it has like red lips like the Joker, and it is horrifying. They redo the school flag. The logo on the flag, it looks like a butt, like an anus on it. They do so much just wild cheese. They have romance. They have paintball episodes.
Yeah, I've seen the
Yeah,
paintball one.
it's so good, so good. So I'm glad to watch some of that. So
Yeah. I'm happy to
indeed,
get to know the show better. Now, how much did you know about Arrested Development going in?
almost nothing. I knew it was a popular show. I knew that one Netflix thing that I mentioned. I knew that it had gotten canceled and then revived by Netflix. But besides that, I didn't know anything about this show. And I
Oh,
still really don't. Like I feel like this is a good picture into what it is, but I feel like this is also a show similar to Community that goes places. I feel
oh
like
yes, yeah.
in the sense that, like, if you were to tell me some of the things that happen or some of the story arcs, I would be like, wait, what? How did you get there?
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I like the cast. They have a wonderful cast with this show. It was such a time capsule for me that was the thing that really stood out. I was just like, wow, like I remember when shows like this were just getting started and this is what they looked like and this is awesome and that's Michael. When they first showed him, didn't even know that was him.
Yep.
And then there's the scene when they first show him in the banana stand, and I was like, oh shit, that's Michael Cera. How did I not
Yep.
recognize him? Oh my goodness.
He's
But
little.
yeah, he's a small boy in that one. But yeah, I enjoy a lot. Sitcoms in general really aren't my thing. So I don't know if it's one that I would continue on with. But man, I loved Will Arnett's character. He was maybe my favorite in this.
Illusions, Dad. You don't have time for my illusions.
It was great. I loved it. He was by far my favorite character in this whole thing.
He's they're all great. The show is from 2003.
Yeah.
It's very 2003. I think it's very of its time on purpose. He's riding around in a Segway, a monogrammed Segway.
Yep. Absolutely. God, even just where he somehow the dad faked his death and he has a twin or something. I don't know
Yes.
exactly what is happening
Yeah.
with that.
Both of
But
those are true.
There you go. But the whole idea that he's trying to do this magic trick at the funeral, but they've hid all of this knowledge from one of the kids who has these bad panic attacks, and then at the last minute it goes completely wrong. He falls in the hole, the dirt the casket falls on it, and he finally makes the front cover of the magazine he's been hoping to, but not for the reason like, God, that was so good. That was spectacular. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh.
I love this.
While we're on the subject, I want to briefly mention what might be my favorite joke in all of Arrested Development. So Job has got that rival magician. He mentions Tony Wonder.
Okay, yeah.
We meet him in some episodes. He's played by Ben Stiller. He's got a goatee that's shaped like a W. and in season 4, when they come back to all these characters, Tony Wonder has come out as gay, and he has a new gay magic act called I'm Here, I'm Queer, Now I'm Over Here.
Great. That's wonderful.
What did you think of this pilot? Because it has a lot
Yeah.
of setup that it has to do to set up like these 9 characters, all their quirks, all their conflicts with each other, and culminate in this big disaster where their dad is arrested on the boat of his retirement party.
I liked it. I thought it had, and so I think it is that, I don't want to use the word redeemed, but I think what makes this pilot is the chaos of this. The end when the father gets arrested, and it is just, what the freak is happening, right? and no one knows what's going on. I think that is supposed to be like the excitement of the pilot, and why you want to continue watching this is to just watch this mess of a thing, right? And I don't really fully understand what was happening or why he was arrested exactly, or what their company is exactly.
It's a real estate company. Like they're in housing developments. And one of the jokes is that they've got this development where they built the one model home that you're supposed to go and tour, but
Right.
nothing else in that development has been built. So the characters live in a mock home in the middle of a barren
Just
desert.
a big old dirt field, yeah. But they also
Yeah.
don't want to like live in the model home, so they live in the
Right.
attic of the home there. And then eventually they just say, you know what, fuck it, and they
Right.
do live there. But still, it is the chaos of this one that I think is the like charming reason to watch this show. But it's a lot. There was a lot that they throw at you, and they throw at you fast. Of like, here's
Yeah.
this character, here's how I'm related to him, here's how they're related, here's who they're married to, here's this guy, here's that guy. And yeah, it like, they're not in comparison to Community, right? Community works heavily with stereotypes, which makes it simple. This
Yeah.
not necessarily. Like, there are some stereotypes in there that you can definitely pull out, but that is not the like the blatant clear like this character is the old person, right? This character is
Right.
the high school dropout, right? Like it's not that. It is this more complicated interpersonal, interfamily relationships, and their history and the things they've said and not said and the secrets and this and that, and this one
Yeah.
likes this one but they don't like that one, and it's just it's a lot to really pick up on, and they are still all a family, right? Like they all still have to work together, and at the end of the day they do love one another,
Yeah.
but they get in fights and they get in squabble from one another. I like I don't remember his name, the one that has all the panic attacks.
Buster.
Yeah. Where I think it was the third one that I watched, which was from a later season. He was like, oh yeah, the military won't let me do that, and I was just like, he joined the military, and then like down the road he's like,
Right.
we can't tell mom that I actually haven't joined the military. I was like, oh okay, like he's faking this whole
Right.
thing.
I think the setup for that was like Michael Moore was doing a documentary about the Iraq War, and he puts the microphone in the mom's face in like a man on the street interview, and he's like, would you send your son to war? And she's like, well, will they take him? Like his mom signs him up to join the army because she wants to get rid of him, and he like lies his way out of it. Like he's just going around having fun every day. So that's why he comes home in the middle of the day, and she's like, aren't you in basic training? And he says, Army had half a day.
Yeah, Army had half a day.
Uniform. So Job sets him up with a stripper version of an army uniform.
One of the best jokes is he's like, but strippers don't wear clothes. Yeah, and then I forget exactly what he says, but it's this idea of like,
He's like, not at first.
like, not at first. They have to wear something
Not
at
by
first.
the end of the show, they don't.
And so he's
Right.
like, wait, you can wear stripper clothes any time of day, anywhere? Yes, and then just rips off his pants. He has the like snap-on pants, and I was like, amazing. This is why Will Arnett's
Excellent.
character here. He's great. So good. So yeah, I thought the pilot was good. It's a little bit confusing. It's much to take, but I think the charm is the chaos of the whole thing, and I did like that.
Yeah.
So,
And I like how the show is put together and how it finds humor in unusual ways. Like, the humor of the show often is in the editing and the juxtaposition of one scene against another scene.
Yeah,
and it pulls a lot of humor out of the sounds. Like, Job is talking about how he's formed an alliance of magicians who will never reveal any of their secrets. And whenever he mentions the alliance of magicians, it cuts to this photo of them. There's a wizard in there, and it plays this like chant, and and you keep hearing that noise every time you see the photo. I think they play it like sometimes in the background when he just mentions the alliance of magicians. And there's so many good uses of sound cues and like. This is a show that's almost full of like audio visual footnotes. Like, see also this. Please reference this. And in the staph infection episode, I love Buster trying to get a job, and Michael wants to put him in the copy room.
At first he does.
And he won't take that because he had a traumatic incident in a small room with a flashing light. Yeah, at first he does, and then he gets overwhelmed by thinking of a time where he was in a photo booth, and it's just shots of him, like the 4 strip photos of him in the photo booth, smiling, enjoying himself. Then a sheep comes in, and he screams at the sheep, and then the final photo is only the sheep. Right, and then they use that same structure of editing later when Lucille's like, I don't want to go to Price Cutters. I don't want to join a bulk shopping store, with her trying to get her membership photo taken, and then some other lady edges her out. I think the show is structurally very impressive. It is very dense. It's Community. I feel like you can pick up an episode pretty easily. Arrested Development's way more complex. It's way more symphonic in what it's trying to achieve. It's got so many running jokes and setups that will have long-term payoffs. It's like every joke in the show is like the Beetlejuice joke on Community. You see something and you don't know it's setting something up that's going to happen in like season 3.
Right. Yeah. Community is complicated too, but it's deceptively complicated. Like, you don't realize that it is, and all of the histories and stuff that play in, and all the lore that builds up. There's actually quite a bit there, but yeah, it is, I think, easier to just watch a single one of that and be like, oh yeah, I understood this, right? Whereas I feel like jumping into like season 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of Arrested Development, right, is you're gonna be like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah, and there's so many supporting characters. I didn't remember season 2 as well as I remembered season 1, so I was very happy that episode I picked, I had a brief appearance of Tony Wonder. We had Ice. We had Barry Zuckerkorn, the family's lawyer.
Ice was good. Yeah.
And we had Anne. I love Anne. As time goes on, I have not like sat down to rewatch the show in a long time, since like the new season came out in 2019.
Anne is the sitting at the table with Michael Cera at the banana stand. Is that right?
That's his girlfriend.
It's like, why does your dad always like interrupt us whenever we start talking? He just interrupts. See, this is what I mean.
I love Anne. I love that the joke is that George Michael gets a girlfriend who's not ugly, but just so plain that she is completely forgettable. And there's the joke where Michael's like, hey, I called and I left you a message. And she's like, that wasn't a message. We talked. We had a conversation. Like, characters just forget that she is there. I think that's a very clever joke to have a character who's just bland. Her name is Anne Paul Veal. Her nickname is her favorite snack is that she eats a hard-boiled egg and squirts a little mayonnaise packet in her mouth, and George Michael calls her
gross.
Mayan egg. And so I think it might have come up where the characters like the
They
Blues
did call
forget her name is Anne, and they
her egg, yeah. And
Right,
he
they
was
think
just
her
like,
name is
no, I
Egg."
was talking to Anne, and she was here.
right. There's scenes where they just forget her somewhere. Like she's out with them for the day, and like they will leave her somewhere when she's standing right there.
Yeah.
But I like that she's there's a Michael's trying to make some comparison about something, and he says it's as Anne as the nose on Plain's face. I love her, but I love that she's a character who also does have an inner life. She does have agency. She's the one who breaks up with George Michael because she's like, I feel like your dad's always interrupting us. Like, you have this weird family life. I don't know if I can handle it.
Absolutely.
Anne is also played by Mae Whitman, who was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She's
Who is
I think it's
she again?
Roxy Richter. It's that ex-girlfriend of Ramona's who he has to fight.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yep.
Also
I
the voice of
recognize her now.
Katara. Mae Whitman went on to have a great career in voice acting.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so from Staph infection, I liked the bit where Buster is that then gets a job in construction.
Yeah.
After that, like,
Yes.
and he's just like, what? Like, why are you even here? You don't like being outside, and then he's like, you know what? I actually find it fun, good. And he seems to be like well adjusted in that moment, and it's just having and just of course immediately it goes wrong, and he like nails his shirt or his jacket to the thing and falls off, and yeah. Good stuff. That one was fun, and the clever name for that one too, Staph infection. That was good.
What I think that episode is a great series of cause and effect. And I like that the rest of the Bluth Company employees who aren't this family are like these actual sheep. Like they have no idea what to do. They just do whatever Michael tells them to do. They're so stressed. Yeah. And I like how at the end of the episode, they've wound up on Catalina Island, literally in the back of a farmer's truck being herded around. But amidst all of that, we do get some sincere family moments.
Mm-hmm.
I like he has to work Saturdays. He doesn't get to see his son. At one point, George Michael goes to the office to try and find his dad, and his dad's not there because he's off working somewhere else. And he's looking through his dad's desk to find some file, and he finds this folder of all of these old arts and crafts projects he made, like all these old coloring sheets, and he's very touched.
The proof that
And
his dad
at the same
loves
time
him.
that like the Securities and Exchange yeah. But then at the same time, the Securities and Exchange Commission is like breaking into the office trying to find more dirt on like the dirty dealings of the Bluth Company. And they're also sheep. And they run in, they're terrified. They're like, oh no, there's somebody here. Even though it's like, that is a 14-year-old boy. He's the only person here. They run in a panic. They grab the folder because they think it's real files.
It's evidence,
Then they try and take the elevator out. And then he walks out of the room and they're like, ah! And they like run down the stairs. Nobody in Arrested Development is competent.
Yeah.
I think Anne is the most competent character you got to see.
Yeah. That's funny. Good stuff. This third one, though, this is the one that I think this is the one that all of the stuff that was happening in this one, I was just like, whoa, how did we get here? Like, what is going on? Their dad faked their death after he got out of jail. There's a twin brother. One of the
Yes.
did you have to say I think it was back in the pilot more towards the end. I liked the joke that the one guy then like after being on the boat with all of the gay people who turned out to just be actors, he's like, I want to get back
Right.
into acting. And so he gets a role where he's playing some guy that like knows some information about a crime, and he's just supposed to be
Right,
timid and scared.
he's playing,
which is exactly who he
yes,
is.
he's playing
right? Like, is his character. He
Frightened
barely
Inmate
has to
number
act.
2.
But he's just like, I need to go do research. And so he goes to the like local jail where his dad, or where the
Yes.
father-in-law is locked up, and was like, I want to bunk with my father-in-law. Like, put me in undercover. Like, I'll just hang out in jail. It was like, this is ridiculous.
Tobias, I think he's my favorite character because he does mean well. He's so enthusiastic. He finds this thing that he is bizarrely very passionate about, even though he's not good at it at all. Can't get it off the ground. He's just very clueless, always saying the wrong things. Like, he's supposed to come from this background where he's this well-respected psychologist, but like can't read what he's saying.
Right, yeah.
Does not recognize any of these innuendos he's accidentally saying. He's the one who, as part of his acting career, in season 2, he does try and join the Blue Man group.
So that must be where that blue episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
he's running around. So he's painting himself blue. He also has a condition where he is a never nude, and he can never be nude. And his version of nude is that he's wearing tiny cutoff jean shorts. That's as nude as he gets.
Okay.
So he's running around in all the blue paint and that.
And like a jean thong almost, a jong.
little cutoffs. With his mustache. Yeah, in season 2, I don't think we've quite gotten to it yet, in good grief. But it's a running thing. Like, there will just be, even if he's like not in an episode or not playing a major role, or if he is doing something else, there will just be like blue paint marks on the wall of the house.
Good.
There's a lot of jokes in the background of the set with that also. In season 4, he joins a stage musical of the Fantastic Four, playing The Thing.
Great. He's like the scrawniest one. The scrawniest one.
Right, and he's wearing this like
That's great.
big muscly stone suit, and he like comes home to his family and he needs help taking the costume off, and he's like, honey, come in here and help daddy get his rocks off. Just no clue. Never knows what he's saying. There's an episode where Lindsay takes a very environmental cause. She like really wants to go in to save the animals of some kind. And to rebel against her maybes, like, I'm going to start wearing a leather jacket. I'm going to get a leather hat. She goes full in on leather clothing to oppose her mom. And then Tobias wants to get closer to his daughter. So he's like, I should do that too. And he wanders into the store that is where he sees leather things in the window, and he doesn't know it's a sex shop. And he goes in. He's like, hello, I'm looking for something that says father likes leather. And the clerk is like, do you mean you want something that says leather, daddy? And he says, oh, is there such a thing?
That's great.
And, like, the joke is never on anybody but Tobias being clueless about what
That's
it is
funny.
he's doing out there in the world.
Yeah, this was a good one. I can see why a lot of people love this show, and it's so well liked, well respected. It seems good. Seems like a lot of fun.
It twists in on itself. The big twist at the end of season 3 when they were canceled from Fox. They were canceled, but they got to like have a real finale at least. You find out that a minor supporting character was behind all of their misery, and you would be shocked to find out who it is. It's like that person has been right in front of us the whole time,
man.
and we never suspected.
That's wild. Let me ask you this. Does Arrested Development ever... It doesn't seem like the kind of sitcom to do this, but where they do the reset thing where things get so crazy and something, and then the next one it just
No.
resets and it's back to normal, like it never happened.
No, this show is continuity is its biggest strong suit. It's full of
Interesting, because
there's never a
Community
reset button.
does that, but they do it in continuity. Like, everyone knows that it happened and they reference it, but it's just like the next one you'll watch, which takes place maybe the next day or that next week. This school is all clean, like, right? Like, they have the paintball stuff where it's supposed to be like an apocalyptic like action movie thing going on there, and the school just gets destroyed. There's paint everywhere, the furniture is broken and busted and all this, and the next day, just back to normal, and stuff like that. They have stuff that, like, there's zombie outbreaks, but it's like it's a play on all of that stuff. Like, one of their Halloween ones, it's a Halloween one where they do like a zombie thing, but it's also an STD awareness party, and the dean accidentally bought a bunch of alcohol for their STD awareness party, as they're trying to be like, hey, don't mix alcohol and sex, and then they just have a bunch of alcohol right there. They find out that all of the condoms that they got to like pass out and stuff all have holes in them, so they tell Danny Pody's character to go run, get on the intercom and warn everyone. And so he gets on it. He's like, attention, Greendale. If you're having sex, don't use condoms. Repeat, do not use the condoms. It's so funny. But yeah, they do all sorts of stuff like you would see on like different styled sitcoms and stuff like that. So I was curious to see if Arrested Development did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or if it was more just like The Office.
Two things Community has that Arrested Development doesn't is Arrested Development will do these it never has a full like style homage the way that Community does with like the Goodfellas episode or a crime noir episode or a zombie movie episode. It will do things instead where like in the Good Grief episode, so named because when somebody's sad, they will like walk with their head bowed down, and they'll play the Vince Guaraldi Charlie Brown music, the sad Charlie Brown music in the background. And at one point, George Michael does this, and he does walk past a red doghouse with a dog sleeping on the roof. Like, it'll do that. It'll do these visual setup homages like that, but it's never... The show is never in a different style than what it is that you've seen. And while the show does have some more touching family moments, it never has this sort of sincere insight on the human condition that I can already see from Community, having just seen a couple episodes. Arrested Development is never inspirational.
It's just chaos.
Right. The only thing it inspires you to remember is that there's always money in the banana stand.
Good stuff. Melissa, this was a lot of fun that we got to watch this.
This was fun.
This was good. I think that's about all I have to say on Community and Arrested Development at the moment.
Yeah.
So here's what we are going to do in the near future on this show. So this was number 199, which means our next one is episode 200. I don't want to be sick for that one, and I don't want to do an audio-only podcast. So we're gonna, I guess, kind of put the review show on hold for a week or two, until I can get all my stuff, which should get here April 8th. So that Sunday, which is the 10th, is when we should be recording our next episode 200. I should have at least my computer set up, right? Might not have my whole podcast room, but I might at least have my computer. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the next couple of weeks off to just kind of relax, so I can recoup and wait on my stuff. But in the meantime, I think we will keep trucking along with audio only podcasts for the Captain's Log. I don't know what we want to do. You and I will have to talk and see what we want to do about the reactor core for Moon Knight and stuff like that. And Morbius is coming up soon. I still haven't seen everything at once at the same time. I don't know what that one was. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. I'm sure Crossplay will have something up very soon. So be on the lookout for all of that, but specifically for the review show, since we have such a monumental anniversary show, we at least want to get cameras and stuff working for all of that stuff. So
so you might not hear that episode for another 2 weeks or so if all your equipment arrives on time. Yes, we're able to do it when we want to do it. Yeah, episode 200. We will be covering a fictional scripted show from Comedy Central from a couple years ago called Review with Forrest McNeil, where this man hosts a show where people write in and ask him, Forrest, what's it like to have this life experience? And he doesn't review food or books or movies. He reviews life experiences.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, he is committed by the rules of this show to do it. If the challenge is, what's it like to get in a bare knuckle brawl? He has to go find somebody to punch. There's no way out of it. No matter how deep he goes, he's committed. And at the end of this experience, he crawls his way back to the studio and he rates it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars.
Yeah, we thought this would be a great one to do for episode 200 here of the review show, so that we can finally review. So,
right, we're gonna learn how to do it.
Yeah,
we're gonna watch all 3 seasons of that show. It only ran 22 episodes altogether, and you can watch all that on the Comedy Central app.
Yeah, it's also on Paramount Plus if you have that. If you want to do like a free, they have like a free 1 week trial. You guys can watch it all on that as well, and go watch a bunch of Star Trek stuff too. It's on there. Or watch the first.
When I watch it on Comedy Central, it's got long commercial breaks. There will be like 4 or 5 commercial breaks that are all 2.5 minutes long.
There's still commercials on the trailer, or on the preview that I have right now, but I also only signed up for the, like, Paramount Plus has 2 tiers, one with ads and one without them, and I only just
plus and
signed
double
up for
plus.
I only signed up for the one like with ads because it was like I don't really want Paramount Plus after this, so I'm just gonna cancel it after we're done here. So, but yeah, there you go. We're gonna review next episode here on the review show.
Yes.
So look forward to that. Be excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we will see you in a couple weeks with that then. So, Alyssa, where can the people find you on the internet?
Do we want to do a bingo for this one?
I don't really have my bingo stuff here with me. Maybe
okay.
We can do an honorary one down the road. I just don't have it with me here. So.
Okay. Well, I'll store this in my brain for next time.
Cool.
I'll remember what we had.
Sounds good. But yeah, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. And as you hear this episode, I think it's coming out a couple days before April Fool's Day. And I'll tell you, we did do an April Fool's Day episode, so listen to find out what that is.
Ooh. There you go. There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe, despite the fact that we don't have our cameras on right now and all that stuff because we don't have our equipment. But yeah, that would help us out a ton to help spread the word. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.